This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Monday, August the 8th, 2022. We're so glad you could join us. Coming up later on the show, we'll be running down that ag weather outlook and talking about just how much rain we saw. Also, we'll be talking with Iowa Soybean Association District 9 Director Pat Swanson. But first, let's see how the markets fared. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of the trading day for this Monday, and we're turning over to Robin Schmall at agmarket.net. Robin, what did we see coming out of today's trade?
Well, we saw a little bit of a tug of war, I would say. You know, we were kind of up and down mostly, but still in a negative for most of the grain complex through the day. You know, we did see some good rains in some areas over the weekend, still spotty. I-80 seems to be a solid dividing line to a lot of degree as far as moisture is concerned, but it really helped in a lot of areas. Some places, you know, not so much. And we've seen that happening most of the summer so far. And so it makes it a little more difficult for traders to anticipate where we're going to be as far as yield is concerned. And that's what makes the business, I guess, trying to guess that. But we're seeing a lot of pictures of tip back on corn. Now is a critical time for filling. But the market still closed negative today, even though there were some positive fundamentals under that market. Now, besides the good rain that came across, you know, we are seeing some decent crop conditions. Now they're looking at 60% good to excellent. That's higher, or actually a little lower than last year, but it's maintaining itself fairly well with the year. So beans at 60%. So corn, they're anticipating 1% lower. Beans the same. Spring wheat the same at 70% from the previous week. Winter wheat harvest about 89% complete. That's up 7% from last week. The other aspect of the positive support under the market is the EU, because of their shorter crop, they may be dropping some of their GMO import restrictions, which that could open it up for more demand from the U.S. Now, we did see our export inspections today lower than we'd like to see. We were at 29.9 million bushels. Last week, it was 35.6 million bushels, so that's down 13.8 million bushels from the previous week. So with this potential here from the EU, we could actually see some more business, you know, coming to us over time for corn, and the fact that U.S. corn price is now at a discount to South America. So hopefully we'll start to see a little bit more of that business coming through, which would be supportive to our market. Now, beans, the inspections today were at 31.9 million bushels. That was higher than last week by 10 million bushels. Wheat was at 22.2 million bushels. That was up 10.8 million bushels from the previous week. So beans and wheat have showed some good export inspections, inspected for moving out of the country. Now, we had 10 ships already have gone out of the Ukrainian ports, bringing out mostly corn. They brought out some soybeans. There was a load of soybeans that went out, I think, over the weekend again. So grain is moving out of the Ukraine, but we are not going to see the amount of grain that has been usual. And it's going to alleviate some of the shortages that are around, but we can't expect anything returning back to normal for quite some time. So all of that being said, we do have potential so that we can continue to see some good, strong demand from the U.S.
Now, we've been talking, you know, corn, soybeans a lot, you know, weather or what's going on geopolitically. But one thing we were talking about just before we came on was that alfalfa conditions. Now, you're up in Wisconsin there. And, obviously that's a concern where we have these droughts too, especially up here in the Midwest. What kind of things are we hearing from this neck of the woods?
Well, actually, in our area, there's an area in there where we've been lacking on some rain. So the yield isn't as good as last year. Now, last year we had a phenomenal yield across much of the state. But we're not good as last year, but we are seemingly to be getting sufficient alfalfa. Now, we have some good quality that's been put up as far as ensiling it in the silo because, it's been easy to cut and get off without any rain on. We're not hearing lack of or a real tightness coming in the alfalfa market, at least at this point in time. I mean, up in the Dakotas last year they were really dry and alfalfa price went shooting way up. That's not quite the case this year. However, when you're looking at premium and supreme quality alfalfa, that price is creeping higher based on the monthly prices that we're seeing. So the good quality is still holding a pretty significant price, and part of that could be because of fertilizer, keeping the crop fertilized or the fertility up where it should be. But as far as what we're hearing right now, we're not looking at any shortage per se on hay, even though acreage is been decreasing over the last few years.
And it won't be long, we don't talk about this a lot either, but it won't be long before silage gets chopped here pretty soon. And I mean, with corn quality being what it is in some areas, I mean, what do farmers need to be concerned with if they're going to be feeding for those either beef or dairy cattle?
Well, I think the situation there, if you got not as good quality corn, you're not going to have the ears, you're not going to have the energy in it. So they're going to have to supplement for that lack of energy now with the better or good quality alfalfa that they might have in the diet. At least they can make up for some of the protein that we were lacking somewhat last year based on some of the weather that we had and the inability to get some of it put up in some areas. But the energy is going to be the issue. They may have to purchase some extra corn in order to get the energy up, or distillers or something like that. So they might have volume there as far as the stock, the whole plant is concerned, but the energy in those areas that have been lacking moisture, tip back on ears, that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to balance the rations for.
All right, so moving into the livestock complex all the way, how did we see cattle and hogs fare today?
Well, we saw some real positive trade today. Now, cattle have been a little bit on the cautious side. Traders are a little cautious in there because, well, feedlots are looking for higher prices this week, cash prices, because they did score a victory last week with southern cattle at about $1 higher, northern cattle out $2 higher. So they scored that victory, which was not anticipated initially. But they're looking for more this week. But the problem is that packers are still able to forward buy. So last week with all the purchases they had last week, they had 68% were for last week and 32% were committed for deferred delivery. That's been a consistent thing that they've been able to do. So even though they paid a little bit more for cattle yesterday, or I should say not yesterday, last week, even though they paid a little bit more, they are still forward buying, and that puts them in a little bit better of the driver's seat where they don't have to be quite so aggressive when they come to bidding the next week. So I think traders are cautious because of that. So we saw a minor gain in live cattle. We saw more of a gain in the feeder cattle, and that was a response to lower corn prices, which is normally something that we see unless there's some other outside factor that affects one versus the other. Now, box beef was higher at midday. Choice was up 179, select up 115. We may be seeing a little bit better demand, at least showing up from the weekend. But the pattern has been that we might show a little bit of a day or two of stronger cut or box beef, but then it kind of settles back again. There's still a little bit of a concern over overall demand and numbers coming to the market. Now, on the hog side, there we had some exceptional strength today. Now, August goes off the board on Friday, but they are just seeing some phenomenal gains. That index keeps on increasing, and it's really good to see that we can see that kind of strength in these hogs now. October shows quite a bit of a discount, and I think that's going to come up. It's going to have to make up some of that discount. It may not come all the way up to over 121 where we are today, but they're showing some exceptional strength on tightening supplies. We've got some positive technical indicators, strong consumer demand. I mean, the October and December almost reached the contract highs today. I think that's going to be doable and potentially could exceed those highs. Cash looks to be lower today, but cutouts at midday are up 395 on that report. Now, we may not close quite that high, but to see that strength in the cutouts, and the cutouts are the ones that are providing the support to the market. That's very good to see. So as long as we can continue to gain on those cutouts, we're going to continue to see some good hog prices.
All right. Well, Robin, a lot of great information as always. If folks want to make some market plans with agmarket.net, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
They can call me directly if they'd like at 877-256-3253, or they can go to agmarket.net. Phone numbers on it, general phone numbers on there. You can contact and you'll get somebody that can help you with what you need.
All right, Robin, we thank you so much for the insight. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thank you. It's always great to be on board and have fun at the fair.
That again was Robin Schmall of agmarket.net. Let's go ahead and take a look at those closing numbers from the folks at Bar Chart. September corn was down 1 3/4 at 608.5. December down 2 3/4 at 607 1/4. August beans up 4 3/4 at 1619.5. November new crop down 8 3/4 at $14 even. Soy meal down $1.10 at $436.40. Soy oil up 35 cents at 65.35. December Chicago wheat up 6 3/4 at 802 even. Minneapolis spring wheat is 5 3/4 lower at 894 3/4. Kansas wheat down a penny at 855 even. December oats up 18 3/4 at 424.5. October live cattle up 35 cents at 144.22. August feeders up $1.75 at 181.27. August lean hogs 97 cents higher at 121.80. Pork cutouts 70 cents higher at 126.17. Class 3 milk down 4 cents at 19.98. And that's been our ag market recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa Soybean Association District 9 Director Pat Swanson. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Last month, we got the chance to go down to Iowa Lock and Dam number 19 on the Mississippi River, which is in Keokuk, and that is in District 9 of the Iowa Soybean Association. While there, they also had their meeting where they got to hear from Iowa Soybean Association District 9 Director Pat Swanson. We had a chance to catch up with her after the meeting and talk about some of the things that they talked about and some of the issues that are facing soybean growers, and also where you can find the Iowa Soybean Association over the next month. All right, so tell us a little bit about, first of all, what's going on in District 9 for the farmers here in this area of the state. What do they need to know, going into this part of the year?
One of the things that we're seeing in this part of the state, of course, we're always concerned about the weather, right? That's the main thing that farmers are worried about with the dry weather right now and the heat. We're seeing a lot of farmers, concerned about that, hoping just to get a little bit of rain. We continue to get just a little, I could say we're being spoon-fed water right now in our part of the state. We live in Ottumwa, so yeah, things that are coming up with the Iowa Soybean Association. We're having a big presence at the Iowa State Fair this year, so please come out and see us. We're also going to be at the Farm Progress Show, and we definitely want to see our farmers there and get a chance to talk to them and hear their issues and hear what we can do to help them out. And hopefully, we're trying to be good stewards of their checkoff dollars. And so, we want to know what they're doing or what concerns they have. And we're also working on policy all the time. That's just something that we can never let up on. A new farm bill's coming up in 2023. And so we want to make sure that we are focused on what our farmers need out here to keep them sustainable and successful. So definitely policy is always on top of mind for us.
And so we're down here in Keokuk today, obviously Lock and Dam 19 right behind you over your shoulder there. We got to go on a great tour of that facility. We saw farmers from different parts of the state too, not just District 9 that were in attendance. How important is for them to see something like this, and which is a vital part of our exports here in the state?
Absolutely. You know, I think Warren mentioned it in our meeting here today about how many of the soybeans are shipped down this river, the Mississippi, and how important it is that we're able to continue building the locks and dams, improving on them, making them larger, and so our soybeans can get down this river and off to down the Gulf of Mexico and off to all over the world, you know, especially China and the Philippines. We're seeing even in the UK where those soybeans need to be shipped out. So we're trying to do what we can to keep this river as progressive as possible and help us on the farm keep our prices up.
Obviously, infrastructure has been talked about for decades in agriculture, but it really came to the forefront again here in the last couple of years. We had the infrastructure bill go through. I mean, what's it going to take? I mean, obviously, this is not going to be enough to fix everything that needs to be taken care of, but when you talk about vital places like these locks and dams, the rails that we see across the road, the bridges for the truck traffic just across the river as well. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done that just seems like little projects, but it all adds up over time.
You know, and we're seeing it right at our farm. We had a bridge that was, you know, embargoed 3 ton. I mean, that's like our pickup can go across it. So we, you know, right from the farm gate is where we need to really be focusing on infrastructure. At our farm, we were able to the county was able to find funds to put a new bridge in for us to help us get our crop from our farm into the elevators and to where we like to ship our grain to. So it's right from the farm gate, as important as it is to the rail and the Mississippi.
So obviously State Fair coming up, big important time. People come from all over the state. Great time for ag to work with urban people and spread that story. What can farmers do? What can they expect from the Soybean Association during those 10 days?
We will be there to talk to farmers. We like to be, or not talk to farmers, talk to consumers. We like to be right there talking to the people that are buying our food and let them know what we're doing on our farm is very important to us, that we keep the food safe. I mean, our family's living right there, and we want to make sure that the water is clean and that we have the soils, we're protecting them and making sure they're going to be productive for generations to come. We're the 6th generation on our farm, and we are very serious about protecting that farm for the next 6 generations.
Well, and the thing is, you know, people often sometimes forget that farmers are consumers too, just as much as anybody in the city, and obviously want to use the lakes, the rivers, everything else just like everybody else does. So we're in the same boat with wanting to protect it and make sure our soil and everything is good to pass on to those 6 generations and maybe more if we're lucky.
Absolutely. No, it's, you know, that's exactly right. I'm a mom, just like the moms out there that are in the grocery store trying to make those decisions on what they're going to be putting on their family's table, and I'm a mom too, and now I'm a grandma, which is awesome, and I'm really enjoying that. And of course that's important to me too, and make sure that we're have food that's safe and of course affordable. You know, that's a big issue right now is the cost of everything, and people need to know the farmers aren't getting those extra dollars. It's unfortunate, but the prices are going up, and you know, we're just doing everything we can to keep going ourselves.
How are farmers doing at telling the story? We've talked about that just years ago. It seemed like it'd be easier to get Chinese nuclear secrets than have a farmer tell their story. But obviously it needs to be told so we don't have these misconceptions. Is it something that's starting to carry on and catch on more? And what can be done yet to improve?
You know, what we're finding, I'm involved in Common Ground Iowa, which is also a women's group. With women talking to women really is what that group's about, and talking to moms and consumers. And you know, we're trying our best to tell our story, show people what we're doing on our farm, you know, show them what we're doing with how we're raising our cattle and how we're taking good care of them. And so we really are trying to tell that story, but you know, it's a process. We all need to be telling our story, and sometimes we get so busy and involved in our lives and just trying to stay ahead of it. You know, I know on our farm, there's always something to do, especially when you have livestock. You know, now we're just finishing putting up some more hay. You know, there's always stuff to do, but it's still, we have to remember that if we don't have consumers trusting us, then there's no reason for us to grow this food. So it's important.
Okay, last question for you, Pat. If people want to find out more about what the Iowa Soybean Association is doing, especially with their checkoff dollars, where do they find that information?
You know, we are at Iowa Soybean Association. You can go to our website, theiasoybeans.com. You can contact myself or any of the other 22 of us in the district or on the board of directors, and we'd love to talk to you. and help you get, if you want to get more involved with the Iowa Soybean Association, we're always looking for volunteers. So we would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you very much. That again was Pat Swanson, District 9 Director of the Iowa Soybean Association here on Ag Matters PM. Let's go ahead and run down that weather. Well, the sun was shining and it was a beautiful day here in Des Moines, and I'm sure across much of the state. Now, we did have some rainfall last night. We picked up about 87/100th. We heard amounts of like 5 inches by Mason City, even as much as 8 inches over by Clinton. Now, some places weren't as lucky. Cedar Rapids less than a quarter inch. Some places even in the southwest didn't receive a lick of rain. But right now, some of the areas that have needed it got it, and anything is better than nothing, though we hope nobody got washed out by some of those heavy rains. Let's see what the next 24 hours has in store from the National Weather Service. Well, as I said moments ago, we did see those showers come through Des Moines last night, and it was definitely welcome to see rain falling from the sky, no matter how short of a shower it really was. Now, some of those rain showers and clouds will move off from the state here throughout the day, and we'll see the sun start to return. Highs today will be in the upper 70s to the low 80s. Now, tonight, partly cloudy to mostly clear around the state. It'll be a little bit cooler, and we'll see lows from the mid-50s to the low 60s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies and warmer. We'll see highs anywhere from 80 to around 87. Taking a look at the affiliate weather map for you for tomorrow, Cherokee will see sunny skies and 85. Shenandoah and Des Moines, both sunny skies and 87 degrees. Waterloo will be sunny and 82. Albia, sunny and 85. And Clinton will be sunny in the cool spot here on our map at 80 degrees. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and even on our YouTube channel. While you're there, you can find previous episodes of AMPM, as well as click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified every time we put a new AMPM episode out. You can also find our free twice daily market podcast through Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the iAron Studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Avery Haskell, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.